Tara's local inspiration. Follow her on YouTube.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Tara, Tara's local inspiration, coming to you with another story time, another pink chair confession. Yep, I got another one. Excuse the birds chirping in the background outside, whatever that is. I don't know what that noise is, but here goes. This past week, Tamar Braxton has been the talk of a lot of social media outlets and some entertainment news media outlets about her allegedly attempting to take her own life. And just recently today, I saw someone posted a statement that she posted about what caused it, what led up to it, and things like that. A lot of the comments were statements like, why would she do such a thing? And being a person that has suffered and does still suffer from depression, my heart goes out to Tamar, because if you haven't been there, if you haven't dealt with, and I know people go through sadness and depression in their lives from time to time, but when it's just a real mental illness that you suffer with and deal with, a lot of people can't understand it. I told the story about when I myself attempted to take my own life. A lot of people on the outside would say, like, what is it? What could she be depressed about? What could be so wrong for her to try to take her own life? Things can't be that bad for her. She's got this, she's got that. And people on the outside looking in, and people that don't really know you, they don't really know what you're dealing with in your day-to-day life, what you're dealing with on the inside. That's why I decided to share this story again. The reason I deleted the previous video, it was a video that I discussed how I've dealt with depression on and off throughout my life. I told the story about when I attempted to take my own life. I don't think I went into detail as to how I did it, or I can't remember if I told why I did it. I didn't go into much detail in that video. I was mostly talking about how I have suffered with depression. The reason that I took that video down, when I posted that video, it was during the time when I was living with my sister in Terrell, Texas. I was dealing with depression during that time when I was living with her, and so I would make YouTube videos and talk about things, and with me, that kind of helps me getting things out and discussing them, or just sharing them with you. I know with a lot of people, they don't agree with that. Some people don't feel like you should be telling everybody your personal business or putting your stuff out there, and I think a lot of my family members feel that way, like they maybe think something is wrong with me for sharing so much, or they feel like I share too much. And so when I uploaded that video, one of my sisters had just gotten married, and I wasn't able to make it to her wedding. Well, actually, they got married at the courthouse, and they had a reception dinner afterwards. So I wasn't able to make it to that dinner. So my sister, who I was living with in Terrell, she was showing me pictures from the dinner on her phone. And as she was showing me the picture, she was, swiping through her phone. There was a picture of where she had screenshotted that video that I had posted about me dealing with depression. And she tried to hurry up and keep scrolling past it. And when I saw it, I said, that's my video. And she said, oh, well, yeah, they was asking me, what's wrong with you? Why are you depressed? And so I felt like for her to the screenshot was in her phone. So when I saw that in her phone, and she said they were discussing me at my sister's wedding reception dinner, she made it seem like they were speaking of me as something has to be like really wrong with me, like I'm crazy or something. And so my feelings got hurt behind that. I never spoke to her about how I felt about, once she told me. I didn't tell her how that it hurt me. I just I thought about it, And a lot of my family members don't feel like you should share things like that. And I'm just the total opposite. I don't mind, even if I know I'm going to get backlash behind it, I don't mind discussing things that I've been through or things that I'm dealing with. I don't discuss everything, but some things I've learned that it helps for me to get it out. And maybe somebody could be going through the same thing. Maybe it could help someone else get through it. So I just feel like if it helps someone, it helps me to get it out, then hey, why not share it? I've got to the point where I care less and less about what people think about me. I don't want to say that I don't care, but how I deal with myself, with my own situations, the less I allow it to bother me. I'll just say that. Okay, so here goes. The time when I attempted to take my own life, it was about 20 years ago. I was going through a lot at the time. I was married to my second husband at the time, who was a minister. I was having problems in that marriage. But what I was hurting the most about was losing custody of my daughter. I wouldn't say I lost custody of her, but I gave up custody because I was going through a court battle with my daughter's father. And what brought that on was I hadn't been married to my second husband that long, but I got a letter in the mail saying that my court date for my child support hearing was coming up. And it was saying, like, if you don't show up for this court date, your case will be thrown out. And during that time, my daughter was like, I think my daughter was 12 at the time. Her father hadn't paid child support in many years, so he was behind on a lot of payments, and he owed a lot of back pay. And we had been to an initial hearing or whatever, and they said that he was like maybe $13,000 or $14,000 behind. I can't really remember, but I asked them to take a few $1,000s off. I said, because he has, bought things for her, so I had him take off enough to where he was still behind $10,000, because he was making really good money at the time, which I didn't know until we started going to court. He was making good money, but he just, for some reason, wasn't making his child support payments. He was going to have to pay a certain amount of money a month for being so much behind, because they went by his income. And that's when I found out he had a very good job and was making very good money. And they put it to where he couldn't miss a payment, and if he would miss one payment, he would get locked up. I think I might have got one payment after that. After that first payment, I remember his mom calling me, asking if they could keep my daughter for the weekend. And I remember it was the 4th of July weekend, because I had my niece to do her hair, and I had bought her 4th of July outfit. So I was like, well, yeah. I was like, she's usually with me every 4th of July, so yeah, she can go be with her daddy. So I think his mom came and got her that weekend, and then they refused to bring her home after that. And I remember calling, asking, why, because she had to go to school that following Monday, and I was calling, asking why or when are y'all gonna bring her home. Then that's when his mom got on the phone and said that something had happened with my daughter in my home, and said that they had already notified the police, and that my daughter did not want to come back home with me, didn't want to be around with me, said my daughter was afraid of me. And I was just so confused. They wouldn't let me talk to my daughter. Then after that, an investigator, police, somebody called me and said that my daughter had accused my then husband at the time they said something like fondling her, but they were investigating it. And my daughter had never told me anything about it or anything of such. Then my daughter's father was saying that he was going to sue me for custody. From that point, they took me through a living hell. Didn't know I had to get an attorney because we didn't have one for the child support thing. It was just, you go with the attorney general or whatever. So when I got a court date, I just showed up. And the first thing that my daughter's father's, he had an attorney. The first thing that his attorney said was he wanted the child support taken away. The judge was a lady. The judge caught on to what they were doing. She was looking at the paperwork. And she said, I'm not going to do that. She says he's over $10,000 in arrears. And she asked me if I had an attorney. And I said, no, I don't. And she said, I'm going to reschedule this court date. For a couple of weeks later, she said, I'm going to give you time to get an attorney. And then we'll convene or come back. So I was like, okay. And during that, at that time, I was making way less money than I'm making now. I was working at the hospital. That was 20 years ago. I was making much less money, so I had to find an attorney. Back then, you couldn't Google on your phone. There were yellow pages, so I went through the yellow pages. Found an attorney. I was fighting to get my daughter back. When they said that my daughter had accused my ex-husband, I, at the time, did not believe my daughter. Because my daughter was going through this stage where she was lying a lot, making up stories. So since she had accused my ex-husband, and she had said that she was afraid of me, I had to have supervised visit with her. So my first visit with her was at this department of CPS, and the lady told me that she had spoken with my daughter, and she had asked me how could this have happened. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because I couldn't remember a time ever leaving my daughter alone with him. And he had 2 daughters that would come to the house. And the only time I could remember leaving her in the house with him, they weren't alone together. It was when he was there with his other 2 daughters. It was his 2 daughters and my daughter. And I had only left to go around the corner to get some chicken and come back. And she said, well, she explained what CPS was to me. She said, CPS is Child Protective Services. She said, so whether your daughter is lying or not, our job is to protect the child and to believe her. So then after that, I had to go to another interview with the with the investigator, the police investigator, whoever he was. And that's when they have you sit in this room, they interview you on camera. And he asked me all these questions about my daughter. Where did I buy her clothes? Like all these questions. And he showed me a handwritten letter that my daughter had written, saying that she did not want to live with me, that she was afraid of me, that she wanted to leave, that she wanted to live with her father. My daughter later told me, years later, she had wrote a different letter. At first saying that she loved her mom, she wanted to come be with her mom, but she said her dad and her grandmother made her rewrite the letter and made her write the letter saying that she didn't want to be with me. And she also told me that her grandmother had told her that she had a dream that my ex-husband was fondling her. She had put that like into my daughter's head. But I didn't find all that out until years later when me and my daughter actually talked about it. And I was telling my attorney, what had happened, what I was going through. And I was still trying to fight for her, still trying to get her. And the lady from the CPS, she said if I wanted my daughter to come home, that my husband at the time couldn't be in that house. She couldn't come back to that house with him living there. And with that, I told my ex-husband, because he had came to live with me when we got married. I was renting the house at the time. I told him, the only way my daughter can come back is if you leave. Mind you, I hadn't known him that long when we got married, so I felt like I had my daughter longer than I had been with him. My daughter was my daughter. So I wanted my daughter back. So I told him, they said you have to leave. And he had to pack up all of his things, because they had to come to the house, make sure he wasn't there, make sure no sign of him was there, make sure he had no clothes there, no pictures, no nothing. And he said okay. So he packed up everything. He was going to go live with his sister. I didn't know if the marriage was still going to be us together or not. I just knew I wanted my daughter back. And he did that. So after he did that, I called the CPS lady, and she had to come to the house to look through the house to make sure that there were no signs of my ex-husband there, no signs of him living there. And she said okay. I called her father, tell him to bring your daughter back home. She called and told him, bring her back home. No, he's gone. They still didn't bring her back home. And I remember calling, and his mother answered the phone. And she asked me why was I doing it. She said, Tara, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? If you don't believe her, why are you risking your marriage? And I said, I just want my daughter back. Bring my daughter home. They refused. And went on with the court case. He was trying to get custody of her. And eventually my attorney spoke with me, and he asked me, why are you fighting this? She wants to be with her father. He said, if she thinks the grass is greener on the other side, let her go. Stop fighting. Just let her go. So I took my attorney's advice, but just going through that, it was pure hell. It was hell, because I had never been away from my daughter that long. We were going for the last court date, and right as it was about to be over, my attorney said, hold up, this son of a bitch wants you to pay him child support now. Yeah, I wasn't making any money at that time. My ex-husband was the one who gave me the down payment to get the attorney. So they went back behind judges' chambers or whatever, and to discuss it or whatever, discuss child support payments. So I'm thinking, dang, I'm gonna have to pay child support. So my attorney came out and he said, guess what? He's gonna get his child support. And I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. Guess where it's coming from? I said, where? He said, it's coming from out of the child support that he owes you. They had given me like a monthly amount to pay, but each month they would deduct that out of the money that he owed me from the back child support. And after the court thing and everything was over, I was still very depressed. I would go in my daughter's room and just sit and cry. I was so sad. I wasn't the best mom in the world, but I missed her so much. I just missed her not being there. It was like I was just so empty without her. And then my husband at the time, he didn't make it any better, and I felt guilty because he came back. Once she didn't come home, he came back, and I still had a guilt of being with him just because my daughter had made that accusation. And I just felt guilty. I felt like I had chose him over my daughter. So we were having problems. Out of all of my husbands, he was the most cold-hearted and that man was pure evil. And at that time, I was a lot younger. I had very low self-esteem. I felt like I just had to be with a man. He was a minister. He was ministering all right. That's another video. Well, I had been in church a couple of years. I had actually met him at the church that I had joined. When I met him, I thought, this is of the Lord. I'm saved. I'm in church. God done sent me this man. Just from my time with him, I look at men in the church, and churches just in general totally different. I went through hell with the custody battle of my daughter, and I went through more hell being married to that man. I didn't know at the time. He had a recorder on the phone. He had been recording my phone conversations. And back then I ain't talked to nobody but my sister. And it seemed like the church kind of turned on me for him. They loved him. They seemed to not care much for me anymore. They loved him because he had deep pockets. He gave pretty good money. So it seemed like everyone in the church just raved over him. And it's like I just diminished. Except for the pastor's mother. I believe that the pastor's mother peeped him. She knew he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. And that he was. And everybody was just, oh, minister so-and-so, minister so-and-so. My pastor even loved him. Pastor's wife, she really loved him. We would find that out later. That's another video. But anyway, he began to just treat me just really, really horrible. And he would tell me that he made a mistake. He shouldn't have married me and this and that. And back then, which was many years ago, with me being newly in church, I had this mentality. They were preaching all this, submit to your husband, and if your husband is something you ain't doing right, if your husband is acting up this and that, and I was thinking, something was wrong with me, and I was trying to be this good minister's wife and do for my husband, do things, and I remember I would go counsel with the pastor's wife, asking her, what can I do? Everything I do, it's like the harder I try to please him, the worse he treats me. That heifer was telling him everything I said to her in those counseling sessions. She was giving him the best that she got. But anyway, like I said, that's another video. And so I got real sad about that, and I was still really depressed about not having my daughter in my life anymore. And that's why I say when depression takes over you, when you're a person that seriously deals with bouts of depression, and that wasn't the first time in my life that I had dealt with depression. It's like a dark space, and once it grabs hold of you, it grabs hold of you. And especially when you're alone. And I was alone a lot. And so I just made up in my mind. I was hurting so bad behind my daughter. My father had even told me during that time we were going through the custody battle, he said, your own sister even told me that she'll testify against you. Yes, one of my sisters had told him if he needed her to, she would testify against me to help him win custody of my daughter. So, yeah. But I was hurting. I would just come home. I would sit in my daughter's room and cry. I was hurting behind, what I was going through. with my husband at the time. Maybe he resented me for, choosing my daughter over him. Whatever. I don't know. He never voiced that, but that man was a mofo. When I say evil, that man was evil. But me having low self-esteem, I was real insecure. Everything just got to me. I felt worthless. Felt worthless as a mother, worthless as a wife. I felt like it was no sense of me being here. I didn't want to be here. I just wanted the hurt, the pain, the sadness, all that to just end and be over with. I felt like I didn't matter to my husband. I didn't matter to my daughter. She didn't want me as a mother anymore. I don't want to be here no more. That's the way I felt, and it was just a heaviness, a strong heaviness. It was a heaviness, just a dark place, a heavy depression at that time. And I couldn't break away from it for nothing. And the only thing that would help me sometimes, my sister would talk to me. My sister, I was in church with two of my sisters, and one of my sisters, I would call her at night when I was alone and thinking about wanting to take my own life. She didn't know that that's what I was wanting to do, but I would call her. And my sister's very long-winded. I probably am too. But my sister's very long-winded. And she would talk to me throughout the night until I just got so sleepy, and I would fall asleep while she was talking. So she didn't even know that she was talking me out of trying to take my own life just by talking to me. But I had made up in my mind I couldn't take it no more. And I planned this whole thing out, y'all. I planned it. I put in take time off to take my life. And that day I took off. I went to Walmart. At that time it was a Walmart off the freeway. This Walmart is closed now, but it was off this freeway. John T. White, I think it was over there. I went to that Walmart. I had already had over-the-counter medicine at the house, but I went to that Walmart. I bought extra medicine. I bought allergy medicine, pain medicine, sleep medicine. I bought so many pills. And I went home, and I know the day, it was the day of the week. It was on a Wednesday. Wednesday was our church Bible study night. And so I went early that morning to Walmart, got those pills, and I figured, okay, I'm going to take these pills this morning. So by the time it's time for Bible study, I won't have to go because I'll be gone. I'll be dead. And I took every last one of those allergy pills. Took that bottle of pain pills, might have been Tylenol PM or something. I took those sleep aid pills. I took every package. I took the bottle, everything. And I went and laid on the couch. I put on some gospel music. Laid there, and actually, y'all, I was happy right after I took the pills. I was just happy. I felt happy because in my mind, all of this pain is going to be over. I'm not going to be here to feel it no more. I'm not going to be here to be sad no more. I'm not going to be here to hurt no more. It's going to be over. And I felt this happiness that I wasn't going to be in this world no more right after I took those pills. So I lie down on the couch, and I'm thinking, I guess I must be thinking like the movies or something. I'm thinking I'm just going to lay on the couch and drift off, and bloop, I'm dead. I'm gone. I ain't here no more. I laid there, and I laid there, and I laid there, and I laid there. Next thing you know, it was almost 7 o'clock, time to be at Bible study. So I'm like, well, damn, I guess I gotta go to church now. I ain't dead yet. So got up off the couch. I was already dressed because, I made myself up to look good. I didn't want to look crazy when they found me. I didn't leave no note or nothing. So I got up and went on to church, went to Bible study. Around the middle of Bible study, the pastor was teaching. I remember him being behind the little podium thing. And as he was speaking, I started to see two of him. Like, I started to see two of him like blurred or something. I was like, oh shit. And so I started to feel sick. And I remember looking at him. And I got up and went to the restroom. Because the pills were making me sick. They wouldn't sit on my stomach. And I started to throw up a little bit. And I was trying to stop myself from throwing up. Because I was like, if I throw them up, they ain't going to work. But what stopped me was a little girl that attended our church. Her name is Simone. She came in the restroom. And when I heard the door open, I made myself stop throwing up because I knew somebody had came in there. But it was the little girl. It was Simone. And I came out of the stall, and I think Simone said, "Sister, are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, Simone, I'm okay." And Simone grabbed my hand. And she said, "Sister, you're going to be okay. God is going to take care of you." And I said, "Thank you, Simone." So when Simone came in the restroom, I walked out. And I went back into the church, into Bible study. Was still feeling sick. Still seeing two of him as he spoke. I wasn't going to tell nobody what I did. And so, Bible study was over. And when I got home, I was jittery. I was just sick as a dog. And I was just shaking and shaking. Those pills would not sit on my stomach. I had to go to the restroom. Threw them up. Started throwing up. And the taste of pills coming up is the worst. But they wouldn't sit. They wouldn't stay inside. And I don't remember how I felt after I threw up. But I did attempt it. I did expect to, I expected to die. It didn't work. I'm still here. This was 20 years ago. So, had I succeeded in taking my own life, I would not have lived to see either of my granddaughters. So my situation and circumstances are different from Tamar, but I'm just here to say that depression is real. And I would say that I haven't attempted to take my own life again since then. And during these times, it's really hard at times for me, with everything that's going on in the world all around us right now. I have some rough days, and I won't say that I think about taking my own life. There's just days when it's tough for me, and I know many people don't understand it, but it's a deep dark depression, and it grabs a hold of you. And mine, I find, comes on when I'm not doing anything, when my mind is idle. And that's why I like to stay busy. That's why, I've made videos of me doing crafts and things like that, exercise and things like that, because I live alone. So I have to, when I'm not doing anything, that's when the bouts of depression grab hold of me. And sometimes it's hard to break away from it. That's when I begin to sleep a lot, because I want to just sleep. I don't want to be up thinking or worrying. The only time, once I did speak with a doctor, and it was after my third husband had physically abused me, and I went to speak with a doctor then because I was having anxiety attacks and bouts of depression because he had choked me, and I would tell her, and I told her that I could still feel his hands around my neck and that I was very depressed. All that woman did, she told me to open my purse, and she filled my purse with a bunch of sample medication that she said was for depression, and she gave me a prescription. That was all she did. I think I took those pills for a few days, and I threw all those samples that she gave me in the trash, and the prescription she gave me, I never even went and got that sucker filled, because to me it was almost like she didn't care about how I was feeling, what I was saying. Because as soon as I told her, and I'm pouring out my heart to this woman, she tell me to open my purse and give me a bag full of samples and give me a prescription. Nah. So I guess kind of this is the way I deal with it. Talking to you guys, expressing what I've been through, what I'm dealing with you all. And I would say that it's been helpful to me. I know that I get criticized for it, but like I said, I've gotten to a point in my life where I care less and less about how people feel about me. Now that's my pink chair confession, y'all. That's my story time of when I attempted to take my own life. I'm just speaking on my situation and what I've been through, and I deal with it as best as I can, especially during these times. I just try to keep myself busy. For the most part, I think I've been doing pretty good dealing with it. And I would say it's really good if you have a good support system or someone to talk to, or a family support system. And I hope Tamar has that. And I would say that if you're a person that's dealing through depression, sadness, loneliness, or whatever, I would just ask you to find an outlet, find something that you like to do, or find someone that you trust that you can talk to. Me personally, I try to find things to do, but find something or someone that you can trust, something that you can do to get you through these times. That's my story time. Thank you for watching. Legend.